Good evening everybody and a very warm welcome to a glorious Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya as we get ready for the championship decider. That's right, we have 9 drivers separated by just 34 points, 6 drivers separated by just 11, and here in the Fanatec Arena we are going to decide that championship. It's going to be a thrilling race and we cannot wait to get started, so let's head over to the commentary desk and start the live action. It is indeed, Davide Brivio, going to be an incredibly exciting and somewhat warm race. The tension in the Fanatec Arena is incredible.
You can cut it. I mean, I'm under extreme pressure. I have no idea what these 6 drivers are experiencing right now because they are going to play everything they can.
Yeah, I mean, a LAN event is always a very exciting experience. We've seen it all season in the Fanatec Arena. But with this being the championship decider, 9 drivers can win the championship. Realistically, that's 6. The pressure is probably the greatest it's been in their career.
Yes, it is. It is. And Barcelona is really hot during these days. So
yes,
it's not going to be easy, even under an athletic point of view, because the race is long, qualifying is demanding.
Yep.
The track is technical, so you're just stopping a little bit on the 2 straights, but for the rest of the time, you're working.
And I think you touched on it there, Davide. The temperature at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya is so incredibly high. And that's just like in a real car, actually. They've got to cope. We don't have G-forces, but they have the temperatures and the pressure to cope with. And we do on the caster's desk. I am absolutely roasting.
And let's remember that in the real cars, they don't have cameramen moving at 20 centimeters from them,
yep,
and people clapping their hands and going through the headphones for how much they are isolated. They still listen to the warmth and the heat that forms up in the arena.
Yep, absolutely. So our drivers are behind us, as you can see, practicing now. But a little earlier on, they came into the arena. And let's take a look at some of the drivers that are taking part in today's activation. So here we see the drivers coming into the Fanatec Arena a little bit earlier on today. 24 drivers are going to be taking part in the race this afternoon, representing 16 teams and 7 brands. There may be smiles for the camera, Davide, but the pressure, even at this early stage of the day, is already starting to take its toll on the drivers, isn't it?
Look, I've seen the situation today, and I've seen people like esports drivers taking their coffee and smiling at other people, but then after seconds turning their face, and again they were super concentrated. So every smile you have seen today, I can say, is a mask.
And absolutely, and this is all part of the makeup of being a professional driver, be it real, be it simulation. It's mind games, isn't it? If you're showing pressure on your face or you're looking down, then your rivals can see that one, and because we're located in the same place, they take inspiration and motivation, and you can't give up that kind of benefit to somebody.
I know you're also a great sim racer, you know?
Oh, very much.
We've done some online racing, and if you see all of these in real life, like the faces of your opponents and all of those things, you arrive to turn 1, and you're thinking in 2 possible ways. Either you are conservative, or you are the brave guy and do the move. And some of them will do that.
But the big difference, and we've spoken about this during the entirety of this season, unlike being at home, where I can hit you, but I'm nowhere near you, I'm in a different country, here we are physically in the same space. We're sharing the same restaurant, we're sharing the same area where the drivers sit and relax. Does that have a different vibe for these drivers, where if you hit somebody, you look over and you can see them giving you the evil eye?
Yeah, more than the evil eye, I appreciated the positive side of that. So drivers sharing a season, and you see something that you just see until now in the real racing, like competitors talking through the paddock, exchanging opinions, respect. We saw a lot of fair play.
And I think that's brilliant. It's an opportunity for these drivers to, in some cases, meet each other or meet ourselves for the very first time. But now feels like a good time to take a look at the championship standings this season. As I said, coming into the top of the show, we've got 9 drivers that are mathematically in contention for the championship. And here are the championship standings. It is the Mercedes-AMG Esports team Unicorns of Love that come into this race as the championship leaders. 77 points they have to their name, but just 7 in arrears is the Automobili Lamborghini Esports team. David Tanitsa will be representing this team, and they've won not 1 but 2 races so far this season. 3rd position, Williams Esports. Now, Dominic Blyer usually drives for Williams Esports, but Wojtek Fiala is behind the wheel of that car, as Dominic unfortunately broke a finger earlier in this weekend. So that's going to be curious to see how they get on. And joint in points, 4th position, the Scuderia Ferrari Esports team. Chris Hardeveld had a good race last time out at the Nürburgring. Momentum carried forward, but a further 1 point in arrears is Darragh McCormack and the Mercedes-AMG team. In 6th position, Tobias Pfeffer, the Mercedes-AMG Esports team Unicorns of Love. Those 6 drivers, 11 points. And then you've got the BMW M Team BS competition, cars 90 and 89 in 7th and 8th. And in car number 12, Mohammed Alif for Flash Axel, the last driver, Davide, that's got an opportunity to take the championship, although it's fair to say 34 points in arrears, 36 up for grabs. It's an outside chance.
Yeah, it is.
So, going into this one then, big question for you. If you're in that magical top 6 that's separated by 11 points, what's the strategy? What's the play here?
You know, the race is not so short, but would you bet on each other's mistake? Because these drivers demonstrated through the season that their pace is incredibly irregular. So either some of them has a very delicate and aggressive setup, okay, and they can do mistake, or I don't see from those 6 those many mistakes coming. So either it's by pressure or very delicate car situation, but it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be interesting because I can imagine a strategy right now that is the winning one. So.
Well, that's the thing. We often see this in real racing or in virtual racing. You strategically look at the event, what the opportunities that present themselves. You have a plan going into the race. And pretty much by the time the flag goes green, that plan gets thrown out of the window, and it's all about reacting. So the pressure is very much on. But speaking of pressure, we've got a quick video from AMG Mercedes about the art of pressure in sim racing. So let's take a quick look at our video, and we're back in a moment.
Having an opponent on your bumper the entire race can definitely crank up the temperature dial. I'm going to show you how to keep cool under pressure. I'm Daniel Morad, Mercedes-AMG expert driver, and let's learn how to stay cool under pressure together. In a race or a competition, you're always going to have people breathing down your neck or on your rear bumper. Sometimes you have the pace to pull away, sometimes you're just maintaining. To keep cool under pressure, it's all about understanding where your opponent's strength and weakness lies around the track, and knowing that if your pace is quite similar, as long as you don't make a mistake and you focus on your reference points, nobody can touch you out there. So instead of focusing on your opponent behind you, why don't you just be aware of them, but also just focus on your reference points, because you're there for a reason. Believe that you can stay there and keep your eyes on the target.
Superb stuff. Thank you very much, Mercedes-AMG, for that little insight into the mindset required to be a competitive esports driver. And Davide, 24, competitive esports driver, sat behind us. Yeah. We've touched on this about the pressure and the vibe that's going on. But as somebody that's a occasional visitor to the Fanatec Arena, just tell the audience at home just what the feeling is inside this place at the moment.
You know, it builds up during the weekend because we have 3 kinds of people: the real drivers that are doing the race here, the sim drivers, and also the public. And you see the local public coming through the Thursday and then the Friday, like, okay, what's happening here? Because maybe they were not involved. And you see people passing by casually and randomly on a Friday, and then staying here on the Saturday for the race, like clapping until the end. And the pressure builds up, and I have goosebumps for this final. I can barely resist to the pressure.
Absolutely. So we've got a little graphic that we're going to have a look at now just to explain in a little bit more detail exactly who is in contention for this championship. And I would give you championship permutations, but there are so many, it's just impossible to go for. So let's have a look at our top 4 contenders in this championship and what they need to do. Tobias Gronewold is our current championship leader. We see him on screen here, another one of the young, upcoming, well, I say upcoming, he's an absolute star as it is. Tobias, he's had a good season, not won a race, but consistently scoring points. David Tanitsa, he joined the Lamborghini Automobili Esports team this season, taken 2 race victories already in the championship, second in the championship standings, but has got to be one of the favourites. Wojtek Fiala, he's a man under pressure. He's stepping in to the Williams Esports team because Dominic Blyer is no longer in this race. And Chris Hardeveld from the Scuderia Ferrari Esports team, 4th position in the championship standings. He had a great race at the Nürburgring, interplaying with his Ferrari Esports teammate. So that's not just one, but 2 cars that were in contention, helping each other, Davide. And that's another aspect we need to consider. There is teamwork, as well as the team behind the scenes. Your physical teammate on track can get in the mix and take points away.
Yeah, exactly. And if there is something that I've not seen so much in real sports, in real motorsport rather than here, is the amount of fair play between teammates.
Yes.
They know that this is one big esport event they want their team to take benefit of. And so they're going to help each other, I'm sure.
And that's a big thing, actually, that anybody new to the world of the SimPro series powered by RAFA Racing just need to bring to your attention. The championship is scored on the teams and the cars, so it is within the rights of the teams to swap their drivers out on a round-by-round basis. Some teams elect to not do that one, so Scuderia Ferrari, for example, have had the same drivers, Jordan Sherritt, Chris Hardeveld, all the way through the season. But for example, coming into this race, we have got 8 driver changes. So before we throw to qualification, I'll just quickly run through those. Car number 5, Williams Esports, Dominic Blyer is out of the car. Wojtek Fiala is in that machine. Number 25, Mikhail Statsenko is out. Kamil Pawlowski is taking part in the race today. Number 53, the Mercedes-AMG team Williams. Dennis Schoninger is out, and it's Daniel Lafuente that takes his place. Number 55, McLaren Veloce, Luke Whitehead, no longer in that car. George Boothby for the final round. Number 62, Brabham, powered by Eau Rouge, Elvin Smith out, Kieran Prendergast back in the car again. Number 89, BMW M Team BS Plus competition, Arta Camera out, Gregor Schill is behind the wheel. Number 201, SPQ Racing Team, Giuseppe De Anna is now out, Matteo Sinotti is in that car. And the 313, the Automobili Lamborghini Esports team, Mattia Krupi is out and Alberto Garcia is in. And then we've got 3 on-site qualifiers, which is Maciej Malinowski, Mattia Krupi and Jordi Moreno Diaz.
Your Spanish is incredible.
Thank you. It's awful, but we get as best as we go through. I got on pronounce.com, find that one out. But here you go, Davide, 5 minutes, 50 seconds left on the clock. Qualifying very much underway for the final time this season. And Kamil Pawlowski is our fastest driver so far. And of the championship contenders, let's have a look down that list. George Boothby's doing well in 4th position. David Tanitsa in 5th place. Tobias Gronewold in 8th.
Interesting. Also, the balance of the cars is pretty interesting, I have to say, for the moment. So let's see the end of the qualifying, because I think the difference will be made there.
Absolutely, and in these qualifying sessions, we've seen it so many times, either in the online series that we run in SRO Esports or here in the Fanatec Arena. Everybody uses the start of the session to get a feel for the car, set a banker lap, so to speak, and then the times tumble at the end of the session, don't they?
Yeah, I think each single coach of these teams requested at least 2 clean laps in qualifying, not to risk it. You know, it's a long race and you have pit stop, but still you want to fight from a good position at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are looking at Kamil Pawlowski at this moment in time. He's the man that's currently the fastest driver on the racetrack. A 1:42.767 is his lap time, 8/1000ths of a second ahead of Nils Naujoks in the 90 car. We're riding on board with Pawlowski. He's got some traffic just ahead, a little bit further away at this moment in time, but that's going to start compromising his car, compromising the downforce and the grip, Davide, isn't it?
Yeah, This track is very technical. There are 2 or 3 points in which you are playing with the equilibrium of your car and the weight distribution. And imagine these drivers are really getting to the limits of these cars. So especially the turn that is coming in the uphill before the last hairpin, that one is very slidey.
And that's a nightmare corner for me, that one as well. You never know quite how much throttle to come out of, trying to rotate the car, get back on the gas, because you've got a long run down into what one could argue is the best overtaking spot on this circuit at the hairpin.
Yep.
And Pawlowski currently setting a very nice lap indeed. He's trending towards being almost a tenth of a second up on his current quickest lap. Nils Naujok's going quickly as well behind, so let's keep our eye on this one. But we're watching Pawlowski now through the awkward final chicane. The Audi getting a little bit squirrely, getting a lot bit squirrely, and facing the wrong direction.
And if you see Kamil doing a mistake like that, you understand that he's starting to hunt for that final half a tenth that is going to keep the position.
And he really needs that one, because at this moment in time, the top 22 are separated by 8 tenths of a second. We're looking at Chris Hardevel. He's running a little bit faster. There's several drivers setting green sector times, looking to improve their lap time. You do not need to find much. Hardevel crosses the line in 7th place. Will he improve when he breaks the timing beam? No, he will not. He stays in 7th place. Pawlowski still in pit lane. Nils Naujok's on a quick lap as well. We're looking at David Tanitsa, one of our championship contenders, 6th position at this moment in time. His lap time is identical to his previous lap, but he only needs... Oh, Darren McCormack. McCormack in the 555 goes quickest. Wow. Darren McCormack by 300ths of a second is currently our provisional pole sitter.
Do you realize that the first 8 drivers are in 2 tenths?
And that is exactly the level of competition we have seen all season long. Look at the concentration we saw then on David Tanitsa's face. You've got to give everything you've got and a little bit more. We're following the Automobile Lamborghini Esports number 63. Tanitsa second in the championship. Remember, anything he can do to improve is a good thing, as Nils Naujok's now in the BMW goes faster. So Naujok's a very good turn of pace in that BMW.
Another nice spot for us developers, and especially for our vehicle development guys, you see that the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have 6 different brands in the first 8 cars, and that's good balance, I would call it.
Yeah, absolutely. The balance of performance is key in championships such as this, and in the games such as, or the simulation, sorry, Davide, SRO Corsa Competizione, and it's working very nicely indeed. Naujok's provisional pole position from Darren McCormack, George Boothby. Kamil Pawlowski in 4th, Maciej Malinowski, our wild card driver, in 5th position. Sherritt in 6th, just ahead of David Tanitsa, Chris Hardevel, Dario Yamulo, Tobias Gronovold that we're looking on board with now in 10th position, but he's over a tenth of a second up on his time, and then a little mistake gives away time, backs off, looks to go for one final lap. And Davide, this is a tyre-hungry circuit. He has got his back to the wall in this qualifying with that aborted lap.
Yeah, and let's remember our beloved viewers, one key concept. The cars that you see faster and the drivers that you see faster in qualifying could have compromised a little bit the race balance in order to be there at the start. So you could see a different scenario during the race with certain cars going through the field.
Yeah, and that's absolutely, and again, we've seen that before. Both the drivers looking to make the balance on their car, but also strategy during the pit window. George Boothby crosses the line now, fails to improve, stays in 3rd position, but just 1/10 of a second away from that man, Nils Naujok's, at the top of the field. Who we're riding on board with here, that is still Boothby through the opening few corners. This will be his final qualification lap. So can the Veloci McLaren driver do anything to improve his lot? Tanitsa goes 4th and sees the checkered flag. A good lap at the death for the Automobile Lamborghini Esports driver.
There's a yellow again for Kamil Pawlowski. It means he probably did another mistake in the attempt of the lap. He's now in the pit lane, so I guess the chances are over for him.
Yeah, Pawlowski's day is done in qualification. 5th position at the moment, but that hit is very likely to change. We're in overtime now, so the drivers on a lap can complete their lap. Chris Hardevel, 8th position at this moment in time. Can the 57? Yes, it can. 2nd position. A round of applause from the audience behind us as well. That is a great time from the Scuderia Ferrari Esports driver.
A 2nd place by 200ths of a second at the last second of over the last second of the last lap.
And this is what, we've spoken about this before, Davide, actually. You want to set your lap at the death, so all your rivals are sat there going, how do you do that?
That was I mentioning before. Of course, these drivers, different from other real motorsport series, they can change totally their setup from the qualify to the race. The point is, I saw during the free practice today, some drivers constantly focusing on the single lap because they were probably confident of their race pace, while others were still doing race pace during the practice.
Yeah, this is all going to be absolutely fascinating when it washes out in the 60-minute race that we've got to come. Again, anybody new watching at home, this is a 60-minute rolling start race. There is a mandatory pit window where drivers must stop and take on a litre of fuel before they go racing again. And then it's a case of whoever gets to the line first takes the race victory. So, relatively simple in theory, rather more difficult in practice. And a call out to you folks at home as well. If you've got any questions for Davide Ben Constanduros, who'll be joining us in a moment, or myself, Paul Jeffrey, drop it in the YouTube chat and we'll do our best to try and talk through that one over the course of the race and give you the answers to your burning questions. And my burning question for you, Davide, is what exactly, in fact, come back to that one in a moment, because the qualification results are on our screen now, and it's Nils Naujoks who's on pole position for BMW M Team BS competition. Plus, Chris Harveld in second place. Behind him, Darren McCormack lines up on the second row of the grid from George Boothby. David Tinitzer and Kamil Pawlowski, 5th and 6th position. 7th, Maciej Malinowski from Jordan Sherratt. Dario Yamulo in 9th. And Tobias Gronwald, our number 10 position, number 14 car, championship leader, only 10th. But for him, he's got Tobias Pfeffer and Danny Savini behind. That is not what you need coming in to this race. Matteo Sonotti is in 13th from Leon Hopper. Good qualification from the grid final racing machine. 15th place, Luca Lozio, the Automobile Lamborghini Esports team driver, a little bit further away than he'd like to be in order to help teammate David Tinitzer. Gregor Schill, 16th. Wojtek Fiala stepping in to the Williams Esports car is 17th. Kieran Prendergast, 18th for the Brabham Esports powered by a Rouge machine. Garcia for Lamborghini in 19th, Mohamed Alif in 20th, 21st position, Tauscher for Mercedes-AMG Esports Team MSI, 22nd, Mattia Krupe, an on-site qualifier, 23rd, Moreno Diaz, another one of our on-site qualifiers, and a name that we don't know from the world of sim racing. He's come for a day at the racetrack and set himself a great time, and Daniel Lafuente lines up in 24th position, having been drafted in, Ben Constanduros, to the team last minute. Welcome to the Fanatec Arena, sir.
Hello, it's been a busy day. There's lots of real-world stuff going on as virtual worlds have run across from the GT4 European Championship commentary. Finished that race under safety car conditions, sadly. And hopefully, well, we don't have safety cars in this one, so we can get a nice clean run.
Yep, and it is incredible. The atmosphere here in the Fanatec Arena, we've been talking about it with Davide just before we went in to qualifying, is absolutely electric. 9 cars, realistically 6 in contention, and just one race to decide a title.
Yeah, well, it's always like that. It's always so close, isn't it, between and the performance of these guys. Even though they have limited testing in the Fanatec Arena, they know this game, they know this platform so well, and they know exactly what they need to do. Teams will invest as well in making sure that they have the same sort of kit at home as they do here. Here's the grid then. Nils Naujoks on the pole position. Alongside him, the Ferrari of Chris Hartveld. And then there is the Williams Mercedes-AMG livery of the 555, Dare McCormack aboard that car.
Yep, George Boothby for Veloci McLaren is 4th on the grid, the number 55 McLaren, the quickest of the McLaren brand, but he's ahead of David Tinitzer, a better qualifying than we've seen of late. The 63 Lamborghini is in a good position to move forward, and Kamil Pawlowski, car number 25, lines up in 6th.
6 different brands in the top 6 then. That's pretty remarkable as the cars now start moving through our camera shot on their warm-up lap. And it is a really mixed bag. The balance of performance in our race yesterday seemed to favor the BMW brand, but it definitely doesn't favor anyone, really, looking at our timing screens.
And you said this, Davide, didn't you, during the qualifying, how satisfying as a game developer that is to see so many cars that deliver their speed in such different ways. But look how even we've gone for qualifying.
And they are engineering-wise, they are so different one from the other, because we know the data and we've talked with all the engineers from these manufacturers, and those cars are different. But think also the real-life job for SRO to create BOP. It means it works.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And Ben, qualifying, as every single time we go racing, was throw a blanket over the entirety of the field, a second covering the top 22 cars. It's just a sensational level that we're seeing here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like that in the world of sim racing. You kind of have to get used to it these days. I was having a chat with Nils Naujoks yesterday about how to make the racing more unpredictable, because that's actually what sim racing needs. We need to make it unpredictable, so they make more errors or have more things to adjust to in the middle of the race, which then will spice up our racing. These guys know everything that is going to happen. They've practiced every single scenario. We won't have rain, so that's something that we haven't actually seen in the Fanatec Arena so far, have we? We've seen it on the online races, but outside of that, there's not a huge amount of unpredictability, so you can prepare so well, and that's why these guys are so close on times. One of the things that has decided races over the last couple of events, especially in the sim racing, is getting your pit stop right. That box that you need to get in, you have to be very precise.
Yeah, also because you need to do some calculations, and fortunately they all have engineers and teams to do that. But when is your tire getting worse versus which is going to be the traffic conditions during the pit window? This is difficult.
And this is something that our drivers have to contend with. They do have engineers, they do have team members on site in their rear looking at all the scenarios and trying to decide what the best strategic move is. But as we've seen so many times, you can win or you can lose a race based on that pit window.
Absolutely, when it's so tight as well, and you lose 2 or 3 seconds if you get that box wrong, and you aren't positioned correctly inside the box. 2 or 3 seconds is something that you won't lose during a race as a whole when it's only 1/10 of a second per lap. So it really is quite incredible. And we've got this amazing championship going on. Nils Naujoks, who is on our pole position, he's kind of in it, but he's 21 points back. So he'd need bad performances from everybody ahead of him, really, to win this championship. Chris Hartveld, the bad luck story, really, of the season, I suppose. Just never scored enough points.
Yep, absolutely. So it's going to be something spectacular, I am absolutely sure. And for the final time this season, the SRO Esports Sim Pro Series, powered by RAFA Racing, is go. We've got a green flag, and we've got 2,400 drivers for the charge down into T1. Naujoks heavily on the defensive. 3 wide into the first corner, fanning out to become 4. There's a Mercedes that we see in the background as well, trying to find their way through. Slight contact with Hartveld. Will he stay on the track? Yes, he does. George Bulby gives him a little nudge at the back. Hartveld to the escape road. Somebody else in the background running off onto the gravel. The Ferrari rejoins Ben, but he's under massive pressure.
Well, it was an amazing start, wasn't it, from Boothby? The first phase of his start round the outside looks like he was going to go up to second. He's actually been shuffled back to 5th position now. And Chris Hartveld, I wonder what race direction will think about that, running off the circuit and rejoining pretty much where he'd left off in 2nd position, and holds on to that 2nd position in turn 5. Round goes the Williams in the middle of the pack as well.
Yeah, that's Darren McCormack that's going wrong way from number 555. Massive for the championship, further contact as well. One of Unicorns of Love and a BMW car involved in that one. Which driver? That's Tobias Gronvold. That is our championship leader with heavy damage on the opening lap.
What a confusion there.
Yeah, absolute. And this is, we spoke amongst ourselves coming into this broadcast, stay out of trouble.
Was that
the critical deal.
I think Tanitsa was facing the wrong direction as well. He was. Tanitsa's at the back of the field, would you believe?
This is absolutely incredible. Several of our star drivers, our championship challengers, are in massive trauma already. David Tanitsa, Tobias Gronvold. Gronvold's in pit lane. David Tanitsa is getting his shoes back on, and he's out of this race. So David Tanitsa's championship charge in the Automobile Lamborghini Esports car is gone.
I can't believe it. I was going to suppose that they would have gone to play a very defensive strategy, at least until the pit window, you know?
And this is You can't afford this one. Murray Walker once said it, you can lose a race in the first corner, you cannot win it. Now we're looking at Leon Hopper in the grid finder machine. He's trying to find a way past the number 5, goes to the outside, almost cuts off the nose of the pack behind, but around the outside goes the grid finder 812, loses out, so good bit of driving there to stay on the straight and narrow. Wojtek Fiala, for now, survives the onslaught of the chasing pack.
Tonitza's going home. He's got his bag and he is heading back to the hotel. He is very, very frustrated with this. We haven't seen what happened to him. We can kind of trace what happened to Tobias Gromveld and the spinning pack from, what was it, 3rd position, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Let's have a look now then. Ferrari versus Mercedes. Ferrari gets ahead. Mercedes turns in and catches Tonitza. Okay, so that wasn't really Tonitza's fault, but then he gets banged and bashed about like a touring car driver.
No.
And there's another bit of contact. And does he then park it up, or does he get another bit of contact as well?
Let's see.
Turns in, and he's got the RAFA Esports guys ahead of him. And yes, there's more contact, and he gets turned around into the wall there.
Massive confusion there.
Oh, yeah.
Massive confusion.
And that's one of those where you've just got the magnets on your car in that occasion.
Not like a ping pong ball.
Yeah, it's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but multiple contacts, and I can see why David Tonitza is understandably angry at that scenario. We're looking at Tobias Fether down in 13th position at this moment in time. The number 4 car is the last of our magic 6 that's within 11 points of the championship lead. So for Tobias Fether, things all of a sudden, even though he's running 13th, are starting to look a little bit more interesting. Maybe not for the overall championship, but the higher you finish, the more money you win.
Right now, the overall championship is going the way of this man in the Ferrari. 2nd on the road, shouldn't have any penalties to his name, and he looks very strong here on the back of Nils Naujoks. His nearest challenger, Tonitza, is out. Gromveld is at the back of the field. And then you've got the number 5 car, which should have had Dominic Blyer in. Whole full season, Dominic Blyer, until he broke his finger 2 days ago. And therefore, he wasn't able to join us. And Wojtek Fiala is where? 8th position. So it wouldn't be enough to overcome Chris Hartwell. I've said all season, Scuderia Ferrari Esports have been unlucky and have not scored enough. They might come out with the championship here.
Yeah, exactly, and we're only 4.5 minutes into this race.
Yeah, sorry about
Let's
that.
remember, so we've got so much drama already in the early stages. Chris Hartwell, that we're riding on board with that BMW ahead of him, has been very, very quick indeed. Nils Naujoks is mathematically in contention for the championship. Realistically, at 21 points in arrears, it's not entirely impossible, but it's a little bit difficult. He's just racing for the win. Hartwell will know what's at stake at this stage. Now it's a strategic game. When do you push? When do you conserve? How much do you want that race victory? At the moment though, Ben, that Ferrari looks very aggressive indeed, it has to be said, although he has dropped back a little bit from the BMW.
And he's got Jordan Sherratt, his teammate, directly behind him. I didn't really notice that. And so Jordan Sherratt, like we saw last time out, we saw the team game being played, didn't we? So Jordan is now his buffer. He can sit there and protect him from Paslowski behind and anybody who wants to attack Chris Hartwell. They basically now he needs to just mirror him throughout the whole race.
And this is what we said, Davide, isn't it, in the pre-show? The Ferrari team have got 2 very similar pace drivers, often on the same bit of real estate. They can work together now and help each other, and that's so important.
And here you see it, because Chris is in the most delicate position you can have in this race, because Nils, I bet, is thinking to victory. He's really doing that. But Chris is in the delicate position of having to keep that one. And here you see the team play coming into the game, like he's going to protect him for sure.
So we are riding on board. This is a replay. This is Tobias Gromveld. I believe there is the Lamborghini contact. He survived that one, but gets a wiggle on, gets turned around by another Lamborghini, collects the SRO Esports number 8 as well, as everything breaks loose further down the road. And this has been lots and lots of cars in a very short space, all squabbling for the same piece of tarmac. It's messy, but it's unfortunately the case when so many people are so close on pace.
And so much to lose as well.
Yeah.
They need to establish themselves in those early laps, because once the race settles down, it seems to be so hard to make any kind of an impact on the race. You don't You don't kind of wait for the unpredictable nature in sim racing, because there isn't it. So you just got to go fast.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at Jordan Sherritt now for the number 37 Scuderia Ferrari Esports car. Davide, what's the best team play on this occasion? Do you just literally follow in the wheel tracks, or is there any value in overtaking and charging against Nils Naujoks? Maybe an opportunity presents itself.
Well, you know, too much defense is never positive.
Yeah.
You see it in many sports. Like, if you played too conservative now and something happens and you're off base comparing to Nils and you find yourself 3 or 4 positions back, then what happens is that, oh.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Davide. That is a little bit of contact. That's the 15. That's Matthias Tauscher facing the wrong way with contact at the chicane. Such a clumsy corner, that one, isn't it? It invites you to make an overtake, but narrows very quickly. You can't use the sausage curbs, and away you go.
A particular situation builds up there because that chicane is the last bit of moment they have to gain space and speed for the straight. So they need to be close. They cannot brake if they want to overtake in the straight, and sometimes this happens.
So we're looking at Maciej Malinowski, the RAFA Racing wildcard. The 4th time in 5 rounds that Maciej Malinowski has qualified for this competition on site. 17th place, but Gregor Schill is the next target up the road, and the 89 is 8th place in the championship. So Malinowski's on a charge at this moment in time, making up, Ben, for the lost ground in those first lap dramas.
Yeah, don't remember Gregor Schill also is involved in all of that contact at turn 5, and so he's carrying big damage, so he doesn't have any top speed, does he? And that's why Malinowski is crawling all over him and getting quite frustrated, because he's easily got the momentum, but then we're going to see what we're seeing here. We're seeing this crash again, but this time from a bit further back, looking at perhaps Gregor Schill's.
Look from the right 8 of the car, like ground level, how difficult it is to discover when 2 cars open that you have a surprise on the road.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, isn't it? Because the pack is so tight, and we see this in esports racing all of the time. The trust amongst the drivers to race nose to tail, to be so close to each other. As you rightly say, you see an incident in front of you, the car's parked, and all of a sudden there's somebody stationary. No time to react. Big damage in the race.
Race Control have given the drive-through penalty to Jordan Sherritt for incident involving David Tanitsa, and therefore they must be suggesting that Tanitsa was loaded into the Mercedes by the Ferrari.
Yeah.
It takes Jordan Sherritt out of that defensive position that he's in right now, helping his teammate. But are we suggesting that it was their fault completely that all of that chaos ensued?
And that is a big issue, because now, as you say, the Ferrari doesn't have the support blanket of Jordan Sherritt. Just over my shoulder, we can hear Kamil Pawlowski not happy at all. Lost gears, it looks like, on his hardware. So Pawlowski dropping down the running order like a stone from 4th position, in the standings. This is an absolute disaster for the 25.
Fanatec have got a great team of people here that are going to help and try and support, and they've got a spare wheel ready to do a hot swap here. I'm interested to see whether this is something that is going to work. He's stuck in 5th gear, so it's okay for the main straights, but it is not okay when he gets into the fiddly stuff. Very, very rare in 3 years of Fanatec Arena that we've had a problem with a steering wheel. What he needs to do is make sure that he doesn't cause an accident here. He's parked on the outside of turn 1 whilst they take the steering wheel off. They're putting a new one on.
That was a fast piece of... do we want to say that this is something that can happen in motorsports?
Yeah.
Virtually so, because engineering is involved. You have hardware. Hardware can have use and can go to situations.
And there is the Pawlowski car now, drops all the way back, does the ITB Santalot Racing Machine to 20th position. This is going to be fascinating now to see what they can do from there. Pawlowski, we know, is incredibly fast. He was 4th on the road when the incident happened. And now it's a desperate scrabble to score as many points as possible, because we've talked about it already, Ben, but every position in the championship is additional prize money. You cannot afford to give away presents to the field when it's so close like this.
I'm amazed that that's worked, and he's still in contention. That's great work from the boys and girls here at Fanatec to to really respond very quickly.
Have you seen the intervention there? They stopped the car for half a second, pulled away the wheel, put it back on, and he was already starting with the gear. Of course, he is not happy, because he's not happy, but he has a chance to recover.
But I think we've had 15 GT Pro races in this arena. We've now had 6 Sim Pros. We've had 5 this year, plus the night race in Spa. And I think we've had 2, maybe 3, certainly on one hand I can count the amount of technical issues we've had with the hardware in the arena.
And it's never dropped below 30 degrees all day long. It's the most incredible.
And we are racing in a sauna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it really is, it is an enviable reliability record that we've got, but such is racing. Real or virtual, mechanical failures happen, things happen outside of your control. The big question now is, how can Pawlowski recover and make up positions? He's 20th at this moment in time, but Ben, the key is he's not a million miles away from the cars ahead, as Darren McCormack is not a million miles away from Tobias Pfeffer in this little squabble for 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th.
It's amazing to see how the domination of that Mercedes-Benz has changed over the course of this year. Felt as though there was slight bias from the BOP to them in the early part of the season, but by the time we've got here, it really has gone away from them, and they are finding themselves battling mid-pack rather than a sharp end of the field.
I don't know if I were in Sherrod and his team, if I would play the drive-through earlier or later, because now the back of the first 3 is has a good advantage to the...
Oh no! McCormack turns in, and La Fuente was on the inside and just tapped him around.
That's a real shame for Darren McCormack. It continues to be a very difficult race. I think that was actually Tobias Pfeffer and Sonotti that they were racing together, and the contact amongst the 2 cars. La Fuente
Sherrod
is
pitting. Sherrod is pitting. He's in the pits.
So there we go now. That'll be the drive-through penalty. This is not, to be clear, the mandatory pit stop. This is the drive-through penalty. He's going to come back on the racetrack probably around the top 10, top 11 mark. And then it's a case of recovering as best as possible as we look at Tobias Pfeffer now, having a look at that Lamborghini ahead, at Ferrari, sorry, but not quite close enough on this occasion.
Yeah, I was looking at the delta between the first 3 guys and the one that were running out. And it was a good move to play the drive-through now, because otherwise those guys would have recovered more.
Absolutely. Get it out of the way, as we've seen there is Kamil Pawlowski now, 18th position, so the recovery already well underway for the ITB Santalot Racing driver. We'll keep our eye on his progress as things progress, but there is a 10-second penalty for Tobias Pfeffer, so his championship charge is looking more and more difficult with that bit of drama on top of the lap 1 shenanigans that we saw a few moments ago.
Well, it was lap 1 that he's been penalised for. Contact with Krupi, who would have been at the tail of the field. I don't think Pfeffer would have been back there, but they race control obviously trying to dissect all the different contacts that happened at turn 5 on lap 1 and trying to lay blame somewhere. And it looks as though 10 seconds for Pfeffer. Now, 10 seconds yesterday in our GT Pro isn't too much of a problem.
Yes.
In our Sim Pro, massive problem. Although there are people at the back of the field, Jordan Sherratt and Pawlowski, with those penalties. So there's a little battle going on down the back to be the best recoverer as well.
Absolutely. So 44 minutes 20 seconds left on the clock. In terms of the championship, it is Chris Hartwell that is in the pound seats, 2nd position on the racetrack at this moment in time. His nearest quote-unquote championship rival that we see on the racetrack is Wojtek Fiala, who remembers stepping into the number 5 machine. He's 7th on the grid. Matteo Sonotti, though, now under pressure. Can we see a move by Tobias Pfeffer? He has the inside line, gets the job done on the brakes, gets the car turned in, and that's a very nice overtake.
Smooth operator.
Oh, almost beautiful there, but look here, he's re-attacking again. Now we're looking at, that is Maciej Malinowski, our RAFA Racing wildcard. What another great drive from Malinowski. Came here, qualified on site, almost in touching distance of that top 10.
He's done that at Paul Ricard, at Spa, at Nürburgring as well. So that is pretty much... Which ones he missed?
It was the opening round at Monza.
Monza
was the only one he didn't come to try and do the on-site qualifier. So he's not got a team, he's not part of the entry. He is flying to the country in question in the hope and expectation he can take part. and has done it every single time. Incredible.
And is the best dressed. Even better than you, Paul Jeffrey.
It hurts to admit it, but you're correct.
Yeah.
Yes, he has a style very much after my own heart does. Maciej Malinowski, and he's doing great work. There we go, another
Look at him.
splendid T-shirt.
Everyone else is in their kind of sportswear Airtex T-shirts, and there he is in a shirt that would be great in a law firm. I love it.
This is an action movie moment, like coming casual. I came, I conquer, you know?
Yeah.
Well, a bit like Superman.
Exactly.
We've got a 5-second time penalty for Krupi as well, the number 29 car in 19th position. So again, just for anybody watching at home that's new, or in the arena that's new to the world of SRO Esports, they'll be able to serve that time penalty during their mandatory pit stop. So nothing you have to come in especially, which minimises the pain from one of these moments, doesn't it?
Yeah, at the moment, it seems like Chris is managing the race, because when you can do 10... Oh, penalty for Chris. Penalty for Chris. He was managing so well, because when you can stay under the second for 10 laps, it means you are playing that conservative. But now he has a penalty.
Davide, that's your debut commentator's curse. Congratulations. You were saying good things when bad things happened on screen. The first time.
And that penalty is for driving off track and gaining an advantage at turn 2. So that is what we thought might happen. Ran off the circuit wide, kept his foot in, kept it clean, and came out even further ahead of where he had left the circuit.
Yeah, you're right.
And if I was Chris Hartveld, I would feel very satisfied with that, actually, because he got away from the danger, got away from the drama. 5 seconds is suboptimal, but it's much, much better than being in the melee that we saw in those first few corners.
And he's also 5.6 seconds back over Lemur. So he takes a 5-second penalty right now, and he stays in second.
I have to say it was a good investment over time, because he escaped from a possible crash scenario at turn 1, and he re-entered the track very, legally and very politely, and he just got a 5 seconds penalty. So that is proper, in my opinion, for what it matters. And so that's a nice management.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. We're looking at Wojtek Fiala now in the Williams Esports car. Remember, Wojtek jumped into this machine last minute from Dominic Blyer suffering an injury. He moved over, did Dominic Blyer, from his number 53 car. And Daniel Lafuente stepped into the breach to make sure that Williams had a full complement of drivers. Fiala doing good work at this moment in time. 7th for the number 5. Darren McCormack, though, down the inside. Darren McCormack, side by side. Will he stay around the outside? Can he hold the Williams Esports car there? He has the inside line now for the long, never-ending right-hander. McCormack, face of concentration, gets the move made from Leon Hoffer. Round of applause from the audience as well. That was a very, very aggressive but fair pass.
But I love the reaction as well from Dare. He was hyped up for that one. It's so hard to make these passes stick and have it work properly. So up to 11th position then, 2.4 back from Tobias Pfeffer.
Yeah, great stuff. Oh, so far. A big shout out as well to everybody that's putting this race on, this championship on this season. It's fantastic that SRO are so heavily involved in the world of esports racing. RAFA Racing as well, the title sponsor for this event. It's great to have them on board for the Sim Pro Series, and AK Esports that put on these fantastic series, these fantastic events, organise the drivers and everything, and the beautiful Fanatec Arena. It really is. Must be gratifying, Davide, as a developer of a racing simulation, to see such excellence that we see on racetrack.
It is absolutely, but sorry, the pit window is open.
I love it.
Let's have the strategy start.
And Ben, again, we've talked about this until we're blue in the face sometimes, haven't we? The difference between stopping early, middle or late could be the difference between a win or a loss for these drivers.
Yeah, especially we've got a field spread of 38 seconds. So if you do come in from the head of the field, you will go into the tail of the field and into the mix there. So it's going to be very critical when they choose their stopper and executing it perfectly. Yesterday, we had 2 people speed in the pit lane because of the approach here is so fast. Pawlowski continues with his recovery drive and moves himself up ahead of Moreno Diaz into 16th.
Yes, very nice drive there. We're looking at Alberto Garcia for Lamborghini as well, with Wojtek Fiala side by side are the two cars, the Lamborghini and the Mercedes. Fiala has the inside line though. Does he have the aggression to stay there? A lock of the brake and he gets the position. Lovely from Fiala, but it's vulnerable to the switchback. Garcia has the inside line. This is such a difficult place to pass, and wisely the Lamborghini drops back to live to fight another day.
That was that classic karting pass. Make sure you're on the apex. It doesn't matter how fast you're going, but as long as you're on it, the other person can't have it.
Yeah, absolutely great race craft, but Alberto Garcia hasn't done yet. 8th position, does he become 7th? Dives down the inside, misses the braking point though. Fiala says, thank you very much, I'll take that one back. And while they squabble, that brings Leon Hopper and Tobias Pfeffer into the fight as well.
We've seen three drivers in that 313 Lamborghini. It's the works Lamborghini entry. And Danielo Santoro was in that, as well as Matteo Cruppi, who's now a qualifier here. He was driving that last time out. So it's the first time we've seen Alberto Garcia aboard that car.
Yeah, fabulous performance. Kieran Prendergast as well, having a great race, up to 4th position, courtesy of a few drivers, the likes of Luca Lozio as well, are making their pit stop. But so far, so good for the Brabham Esports, powered by Eau Rouge Ferrari, number 62, having by far and away their best event of the season. Tobias Pfeffer, car number 4, still in the wheel tracks of Leon Hopper. This is interesting, Ben. Pfeffer, we know he's quick, we know he's aggressive, but he's been very strategic and economical with the moves that he's making so far. And this is a quietly effective race for the Mercedes-AMG Esports team, HRT by Unicorns of Love. Say that one quickly.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's, I think it's the way they have to be, because they don't have that crazy outright pace that the Mercedes had in the early part of the year. So they're having to be cleverer, keeping out of trouble when possible, and just kind of being really efficient and creeping up the order. Pfeffer shouldn't really be in 8th position. He and McCormack, all of those Mercedes are cars that are usually much further up the order. But they are just having to creep up and stay out of trouble, basically. Here's the battle for the lead of the race. It stayed like this for the whole of the race, but Chris Hartwell has that 5-second penalty. So effectively, Niels has a 5-second lead and doesn't really need to worry too much. Doesn't need to take too much out the tyres, can control this one, could even let Hartwell go, because he knows that if he stays within 5 seconds, he will still win this.
And this is the experience and the guile and the wise racecraft of Nils Naujoks, isn't it? They're an outside contender for the championship in the number 90, 21 points away from the top. So he knows coming into this race, one job only, win.
Will BMW team use skill to pit in a moment in which you can actually go into the traffic with P2? Because that would be a strategy. You know, Niels wants to win.
That's an interesting take, actually, because you've got to play this game a little bit. But I'll come back to that one in a moment, though. This is something you don't see very often. Jordan Sherratt in danger of dropping a lap.
Yeah. Well, but does he actually find himself getting involved here? His teammate is just behind, battling for the lead. He could be effective. They've played team games before. This would be a less good team game to play, but he's sitting there, and even if you have to be lapped, it still compromises the speed of the guy in front.
Yeah, you don't have to be outright rude about the incident. You've just got to be in the way a little bit. Still concede, still
one
stay
more
out.
overtake,
Yeah, just a small thing, something. But even just by virtue of being there, it gives Nils Naujoks something to think about. Even though he's not close enough to launch a move, it's something to take Naujoks' mind off the task in hand. And it seems to be working, because Chris Hartwell almost trading paint with the BMW in the back of your shot. Then Hartwell straight down pit lane. Wise move that one. Get out of the way, and let's see how long it takes Nils Naujoks to close on the lapped or almost lapped down Ferrari.
Nice and careful. It's so easy to speed in the pit lane. Got to go through a bit of a process to set everything up to make sure the car is good when it comes to its box, and then you've got to hit the marks. You've got to hit the box perfectly. So the car jumps up instantly, drops back down onto the ground, and you can go off and away. Only a single litre needs to be put into the car. You don't need to change tyres. And that looks pretty good. No?
So-and-so.
So-so.
Be interesting to see as well how quickly.
Oh, tyres.
A tyre change for Chris Hartwell then on the Ferrari.
We haven't seen tyre changes in these races before, have we?
I wonder if, I don't want to think that they've set up not correctly the pit stop. So, and I see Chris is very easy with that. So I wonder, wow.
I've heard before at previous rounds that the Ferrari can be a little bit aggressive on its tyres over the course of a race stint, and I've had a lively debate with a driver that shall remain unnamed as to the benefits of changing tyres and the time lost compared to the gain that you make in a second. They maintain, they are confident changing tyres is the fastest way to go, but you've got to be confident if you're sat there giving those seconds away.
I am very curious as to see how that works. And does it change the attitude of the BMW guys now? Does Nils Najoks think, I'm going to just be really conservative and not change, and then the win's in the bag? Championship won't be in the bag, but the win of the race will be. Or does he mirror what the Ferrari does?
And this is when it becomes so massively critical to rely on the team of people that you've got behind you, the people looking after the strategy, the people doing taking themselves away from the situation of the cockpit and looking at the bigger picture of the race. There will be furious calculations being made. They'll know what they want to do coming in, but as you say, Ben, that is a humongous curveball.
From P9, everything can happen, because now there's quite a big gap at the moment.
He's got that comfort blanket. The other question as well is, it's much harder for Chris in the Ferrari to come back out and find the pace again because the tyres are cold. So you're giving more time away to your rivals who'll come out in a hot car and can get straight back on the pace again. So this one's going to be absolutely fascinating to see.
Let's also remember that we don't have just one winner, right? So
Kieran Prendergast for the Brabham Esports car, 12th position. Quick note to everybody at home, timing screen on your left-hand side, the timing tower, sorry. If it's orange with a 1 on, the cars have not made their mandatory stop. If it is green, they have made their stop. So Chris Hartwell is the leader, in effect, of those that have made a pit stop. We're looking at Prendergast, 12th position, but there are several cars ahead that will move out of the way when they cycle through in the next 10 minutes and 51 seconds. But Najoks, Yamulo, and Malinowski, who's on the recovery drive, for example, have all decided, sorry, Malinowski, that's the RAFA Racing guest driver, look like they're leaving it, Ben, the opposite side, to the end of the window.
Yeah, and if you're not changing to another driver, or then it's less critical, perhaps. You can have a look to see which window opens up, where you're going to fall into line. Can you go faster than those who have pitted, or slower? Certainly, the cork and the change is that we've got a car in those that are pitted that has new tyres. I think that's so remarkable. I don't think we've ever seen that in this format of racing over the last couple of years.
So that's a relatively damaged Dario Yamulo Lamborghini coming down pit lane. He's serving his mandatory stop. Get that out of the way. Let's see what they elect to do in their pit stop as well. And Davide, another driver that's making tyre changes as well. And just how much input does a driver have in this strategy? Or is it led by data and teams, or is it by feel, what you prefer to do?
There's quite a lot of effort given by the engineers, because they know how the setup is going to affect the tires. But the ultimate decision is always to the driver, because he has to manage the race.
This adds an element of suspense to the second half of this race, Ben. I think we're going to see some big changes here.
It absolutely changes the game, doesn't it? It really does. The norm has been the one stint on the same tyre. As we would see in real world, the tyres should last an hour, and they do. The model has changed in the middle part of the year. The balance of performance is changing, but who's brave enough to go, that's what we need to do because we're going to gain more at the end? You need to know that everyone else is going to mimic you, otherwise you're throwing away 30, 40 seconds.
Let's see.
So here's a big thing for the race now. Nils Naujoks, our race leader, comes down to serve his pit stop. Remember, previous to this pit stop cycle, Chris Hartveld was mirroring the BMW. Hartveld, number 57, 5th on the racetrack. Naujoks brings the car into the box. Let's have a look what strategy the BMW team decide to employ. A little celebration as well. Hit the point absolutely perfectly. And there we go.
They're going tyres. They're going tyres.
So this is all down now to in and out laps from these drivers. Let's see where Hartveld comes out on the track in comparison. So we are a few moments away from finding out. We've got Naujoks stationary in pit lane. Chris Hartveld, car number 57, on the racetrack, going as fast as he possibly can. Can Naujoks get out of pit lane, but more importantly, Ben, can he get up to speed, because Chris Hartveld is going to be right on his tail.
I've been told by my producer that this is in the regulations, and we shouldn't be surprised after 5 rounds. Apparently they've been doing this all year.
It's very hot, right?
I don't know if anybody told us.
It is very hot indeed, but more hot than that, Nils Naujoks has a massive advantage. Look how far back the Ferrari is, as one they were coming through this cycle. Now the gap is significant.
It's 5.5 seconds, which is the gap that it was, plus the 5 seconds of the drive-through. So that's all it is, and it's amazing that it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And that just shows the level of these drivers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They can produce lap after lap after lap at the pace that they're qualifying these cars in. And now Chris Hartveld has a lot of work to do, but I think he'll be quite content with second position. As things stand, that's the pound seats for the championship.
The real difference, in my opinion, after this pit window is that Chris has now no shield at all, and he has behind drivers that are contending for different positions in the championship. So I don't know if he gets close again to Nils, if he's going to go for the overtake or stay in second position.
Mohamed Alif from Flash Axel. Indonesian driver losing the rear end of his car through turn number 9, and he's under pressure, serious pressure now. Maybe a bit of contact from Matteo Clupi, who hasn't pitted yet, still got 6 minutes to pit. One of our qualifiers, RAFA Racing livery, and he slots just ahead. So we saw him in a Lamborghini earlier on the year, Matteo, and now he's in the McLaren, and he hasn't pitted yet, so he's got old tyres, and everyone around him has got new tyres, but he's still moving forwards.
Yeah, really sterling defence there, and Mohamed Alif will be very keen indeed to find his way past that car, because look, he's got 3 cars behind him trying to find a way past as well. This is a really, really good drive from Mohamed Alif, one of the strongest drives that we've seen from the 72 for quite a while, actually. They're 9th in the standings. They're in mathematical contention as we ride on board with Prendergast. There we go. That is Mohamed Alif around the outside. Now he can hold on. A little bit of rubbing gets the job done. A great overtake.
Yeah, that really is very, very nice. And here comes Kieran Prendergast. This right-hand at turn 3 is not as easy flat as it is in a Formula 1 car. The cars in GT3 move around quite a lot, and now RAFA Racing having to defend. Kieran goes to the outside. I love that livery in the Brabham Esports machine. I know it underneath is a Ferrari, but it looks like a Brabham. Oh, he's been pushed wide, and that's actually opened the door for Garcia. Around the outside of 1, around the outside potentially of 2, maybe not. I'm sure Kieran's just going to blend him off the circuit, which he does. And watching all of that is Dara McCormack, who is not making up ground as yet, but surely fancies a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big opportunity for McCormack. While these cars are running so close together, he's got an opportunity to pick people off in quick succession, which is exactly what the 555 needs to do to run himself up the order, keep himself in that championship contention. A flash of the lights, the car to the inside, but good defending from Krupe. Turns across the nose of the AMG Mercedes, and Dara McCormack still has work to do. Krupe looking very much on the rear view mirror, but doing well to keep that car out of significant trouble, although there's clearly a pace deficit now, Ben, for the tyres.
What I find amazing is that is the leading Mercedes in this race, down in 9th spot. Yeah. How the year has changed for these guys.
So much drama, paying a massive price. Many of the drivers now, but McCormack has the opportunity. The Mercedes quick in a straight line, down the inside. Mathieu Krupe defends. McCormack did not like that one bit, but he has the overlap into T1. Will Krupi try and fight it on the brakes? Yes, he will. Keys the car to the inside. McCormack has to work harder than he would like, but gets the job done, and Wojtek Fiala decides, you boys are having some fun, I'm going to join this party as well. Fiala next in line to make his way past the McLaren.
I love the reactions of Darren McCormack. He really is flabbergasted, I think, of what's going on around him.
There is Fiala still trying to attack Krupi. Krupi is hemorrhaging time at this moment in time. He's got to make his stop, and he's just on the defensive, covering the inside line, going too wide. It's giving away overall lap time. Fiala having another look around the outside. The bright green nose on that AMG Mercedes. Hard to miss on the racetrack, but Wojtek Fiala still frustrated behind the back of him. Maciej Malinowski joining in now, so Fiala very quickly will be going from the attacker to the defender. There we go. The Mercedes to the inside. Malinowski decides to make it 3 wide. Elects better of it. Goes back behind. So far, Krupi holds on. This one, gents, has got the air of a disaster written all over. If you're Mathieu Krupi, exit stage right, get down pit lane, take yourself out of this situation.
Yeah, why is he holding on for so long?
It really is compromising.
Doesn't need to go into the pits this lap. He has one more opportunity. He won't have the same kind of support that he would have done when he was racing for Lamborghini. So he doesn't have necessarily anybody in his ear to work it out. I'm not sure what the applause is for. But over the line for another lap. This time has to go defensive. Fiala to his outside. Oh, a little bit of contact in the middle of the straight. Oh, and this time all the way around the outside. Nice work.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Kamil Pawlowski trying to do a mirror image further back as well alongside Sonotti, but he's got the job done on the brakes. I think the ITB Santalot machine all the way around the outside. Kamil Pawlowski moves up in a 14th place. That's another very, very nice overtake indeed for Kamil. 14th position. Next up, he's got to fight the Sonotti, no, he's not, sorry, Tobias Pfeffer is the next car down the road for Kamil Pawlowski as he continues that recovery drive in the 25.
Well, he's calmed down from earlier, hasn't he?
A little. But you know what they say, the calm before the storm, and we've still got the dying embers of the season, 21 minutes, 10 seconds left on the clock, a championship and many of the other supporting positions below it left to fight for, and Kamil Pawlowski bit between the teeth on a hard charge further up. There is Maciej Malinowski, takes 9th position away, good pass on Wojtek Fiala, another round of applause rings in the arena, and Malinowski, the McLaren bed at this stage, and Davide just seems to be a little bit more compliant, has more pace in it than the chasing pack, and Malinowski putting that to good use.
Let's not forget also, I mean, Malinowski may have prepared because he had a pretty strong confidence that he was going to be in this race. I wouldn't have thought the other two would have been able to prepare anything like the amount of the professional teams around them. So they haven't been able to refine the setups or anything like that.
Not at all. Mathieu Krupi, by the way, in pit lane, so he serves that at the very last possible moment. He'll be stationary for 5 seconds, of course, because he needs to serve his 5-second time penalty. Leon Hopper, that we're looking at now in the Grid Finder Racing 812. A good race for them as well. 11th place. That's rarefied company, Davide, at this stage of the season.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and I was also noticing after the pit window, initially Chris Harteveld was going to take no jokes, but he's now losing field.
Yeah, there's a big time difference actually. Look at the lap times.
Yes.
Last time around, Hartfield was a 43.687. Now York's fastest lap of the race, almost a 43 flat, so the BMW on a charge.
Nils is giving it all right now because he's creating a gap, which for him is an opportunity.
The gap had come down to about 4 seconds between our leading two, but it's now out to nearly 6 seconds. Hartwell having a slow lap.
Yeah, we were discussing exactly that.
Yeah, sorry, I was...
No, you were solving important problems. I have to say. But I have to say that, yeah, it went from 4 seconds to now almost 6, and it seems like Nils is giving it all.
Look how fast Kamil Pawlowski has caught Tobias Pfeffer ahead. Goes side by side with the Mercedes. Pawlowski trying to hang on to the inside. Pfeffer survives for now, but a 1.5-second gap has been swallowed up in just over a lap. Kamil Pawlowski in the ITB Santalot Racing Audi has pace to spare at this stage in the race. The car looks absolutely on point. Pawlowski recovered his composure and now is trying very hard to break into that top 12. Tobias Pfeffer, let's remember, came into this one in 6th. Does not need to lose any more positions. On the back straight, run down into T1, looks to the inside. Pfeffer taking the ideal racing line for the arc into the corner. Pawlowski, though, that car, that Audi, just seems to be able to do whatever Kamil wants it to do.
Now, we saw Krupi go into the pits, but he hasn't served the pit stop correctly. Maybe he didn't put any tyres on, because I didn't realise you had to change tyres. And so he's been given a penalty of just 5 seconds. So seems less severe than changing your tyres, but he's at the back of the field anyway.
No, it was the 5 seconds he was carrying at the start of the race, so he's obviously not served that 5 second due to having not stopped the car, so that's going to be a significant penalty issued by the simulation, and also the stewards will have their say as well, so a sad end to Matti Krupi's competitive prospects.
I'm going to read this then. Incident for car 29 on lap 22, 5-second time penalty to car 29, 4 pit lane infringement.
Maybe speeding?
Slightly confusing.
Yeah.
The way it's written.
Unless he came in, stopped in his box, served the time penalty, then some drama unfolded thereafter. But Kamil Pawlowski, some drama on the racetrack, finally gets past Tobias Pfeffer. Look at the concentration of Tobias in that Mercedes-AMG Esports team. HRT by Unicorns of Love. Pfeffer, though, now down in 13th position, and just behind, that is Leon Hopper trying to buy into this one. So what's quite happened to that car, I'm not sure. Hopper's lost some positions, I think. Let's see when they cross the timing screens. No, that is not his car, so that must be Sonotti, in fact, that is following in the 201.
Now the gap between Nils and Chris is getting even wider. I wonder if it's a team order, because also the 2 Lamborghinis following are not changing their gaps, and so probably Chris is starting to be a bit more calm.
And that's the thing, if you're Chris Hartwell in the 57, you just need to bring it home at this stage, Ben, don't you? You just need those points, see where it washes out when the championship scores have been updated.
Yeah, so we had the championship scores with Hartwell winning the championship by, I think it was 6 points over Nils Naujoks. Those positions haven't changed since that was worked out. So that is where we're going to be at the end of this race if nothing changes. And that's amazing. I find it amazing that we've come to the end of this year and a Ferrari has ended up at the top of the championship, considering how it's panned out across the year.
Yeah, we've said this all season long, the misfortune that Ferrari have had. They've not taken a race victory. David Tinitza for the Automobili Lamborghini Esports team's taken 2 wins. Then it's been a Mercedes win in the Mercedes-AMG Esports HRT URL for Pfeffer, and a win for Darren McCormack as well. Ferrari, just by dint of misfortune and being in the wrong place at the wrong time and lack of outright speed, have never really been in the shout. But you know what it's like, guys. It doesn't matter what happens in the season, it's what happens when the points you put on the board deliver even on your bad days, and that's what decides a championship.
Even at the first day of school in sim racing, they always tell you, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent.
If your worst day is better than your other rivals' worst days, that's what takes the title, not snatching the outright victories. And it's working very well for Chris Hartwell at this moment in time, as Darren McCormack still clings on in 8th place.
Best Lamborghini is not from the Lamborghini work stable, because Lamuro is actually run by VS Racing by Balanced Sports. So Vincent Sospiri Racing, sometime Minardi Formula 1 driver, Vincenzo Sospiri.
Lola as well. It was, well, a practice session.
Yes, did Lola ever actually go anywhere? So, yeah, he is the top Lamborghini in this race, with Luca Lozio 6.1 back, but he's a works Lamborghini entry. Garcia down in 7th position, and then obviously Tonitza probably at the bar by now.
Yeah, but it's a good performance from Yamulo and Lozio as well, and Garcia as well in 7th place, to start to show a little bit more pace than maybe we've seen from them at this stage in the race as well. So this is good. For those that aren't fighting for a championship, you want a strong end to the season because you carry that into the off-season, maybe even contract renegotiation time. It's always nice to end on your best foot, going into a lull of activity that many of these drivers, in SRO at least, will be finding themselves.
Problem for the number 15 car, which is the Mercedes-AMG Esports team MSI, run by Unicorns of Love. Michael Tauscher bringing out the yellow flag and now into the pits. So Tauscher basically out of the race. Here goes McCormack around the outside of Garcia and makes that look very easy.
Very nice indeed from Darren McCormack. We know how good of a driver he is. He's in that frame of mind now. 13 minutes left in the race, 13 minutes left in the season. He's just got to take every opportunity. He cannot afford to sit and watch the car ahead. It is better to end in the gravel and try than to float home in 8th place and wave goodbye to the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, McCormack is moving a lot from the start of the race. He's very hot, very physical, and trying to conquer something during this race. So, not surrendering.
Jordan Scherer, though, Ben, what? The bad luck for Ferrari continues, but so far it's only on the one car. Jordan Scherer would not have expected to be 16th place at the end of qualifying, coming into the last 12 and a bit minutes of this event.
Let's not get confused by this image. This is Nils Naujoks with Jordan Scherer a lap behind, not Chris Hartwell, who is actually 7.7 back from this. And so this is just Jordan Scherer kind of just almost putting pressure on Nils Naujoks.
Good indication. If Scherer is so close to Nils, it means that Chris is playing very conservative at the moment.
And this is clever from Jordan Scherer as well. Nothing untoward there, but just pressure him. Just keep Naujoks under a bit of pressure. This is what happened to Tauscher. Loses the rear all of his own. Almost catches the car. Little pirouette, and he kisses the barriers for good measure. And Michael Tauscher decided enough's enough for the day. That's me finished, and he's in pit lane.
What? Well, with this pit stop having to force a tyre change, which I never knew, that must change the way that these guys are now setting up the cars, because they're only needing those tyres to do half a race. So are they going more aggressive with their setups there?
I bet they do, because if you use a lot of camber, if you use a lot of camber angle, your tires are going to warp faster. And so if you know that your tires need to last all the race, you're going to use more neutral angles, less aggressive setups.
Ben, you got me all excited saying that was Nils Naujoks and Jordan Scherer, but it was Gregor Schill, and he's just made the overtake for track position. I was going crazy thinking that he's putting a move on our race leader, but in fact it is a swap of position. Schill in the 89. So
apologies, everyone.
I almost had a small moment there to myself thinking, but yes, position taken from Jordan Scherer, so he moves up in a 50.
No, that's my bad then, because that was more significant than what I thought it was going to be. Jordan Scherer overtaking Nils Naujoks, doesn't matter.
There's a reason for that. It's because we have the provisional standings, and we were reading through.
On that provisional standings at the moment, it is still, of course, Chris Hartwell that is in the prime seats in the Ferrari. We've got 10 minutes, 12 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, Naujoks needs to score another 6 points over Chris Hartwell, but Naujoks is scoring maximum points. Yeah. So it's kind of not possible, really. The only thing he can hope is that Hartwell has an issue and drops back, but 3.3 seconds back. Lemuyo, 9.5 back from Naujoks. Naujoks has just set his... No, he's not set the best lap of his race, but the gap is continuing to grow.
It was a steady time last time around for Chris Hartwell. A 44.310 plays a 43.642 for Nils Naujoks. Not in any danger of being slow enough to fall into the clutches of the car behind, but Ben, Davide, we know it ourselves from racing. When you start to be conservative and look after the car, it almost becomes more difficult, doesn't it? Because mistakes creep in.
It is. What do you think, Ben?
It is.
I think it is, because as soon as you relax and you're breaking that pace and that cognitive tunnel, you are prone to mistakes.
You need full focus because 95% focus isn't enough.
Yeah.
And as soon as you go slower, you almost spend more energy trying to go slower than you do trying to keep the car on the road.
Absolutely.
Luckily, my default is just slow. So at 100%, I'm just slow.
We could
I
be
can do slow.
We could be an endurance driver that just protects whatever position the good guys have done. As Maciej Malinowski, far from being slow in the RAFA Racing Guest, the wild card on-site qualifier, 9th position, but look at him stalking Alberto Garcia ahead. Still on the charge is Malinowski, still trying to find a way past. If he can clear that Lamborghini, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Darragh McCormack and Kieran Prendergast are very much within reach. So this has been a sensational drive from Malinowski, very firmly in the slipstream, only another lap or so, and this is his.
One might ask why Malinowski isn't part of a works team here.
Yeah. Maybe next year?
Oh, he's at the inside, side by side. He's going to be squeezed off the road here. There's maybe a half a hole. He blends out the throttle, but he's tighter through turn 3. That's going to give him the inside line to 4. That should move and be allowed to finish the move at 4. This is Garcia he's trying to get past, but Garcia is later on the brakes, runs deeper into turn 4, and that is move done. Takes about 3 corners. Oh no, maybe not. No, maybe he can fight back. Garcia's going to send it up the inside into 5. There is still the overlap, it still continues. That's most of the first sector done. And look at Malinowski, not very happy about that whatsoever. We've now got a battle for 4th position as Alif has got into the tail of Lozio.
Yeah, this is a great performance from Flash Axel Esports here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. They came into this one as very much the outsiders for the championship, and they are putting on a fantastic show so far. Mohamed Alif, 5th position, looks one way, looks the other. Luca Lozio resists for now, but that Ferrari looks very, very nice in the hands of Mohamed Alif, and Lozio, with 6 minutes 54 seconds on the clock, has a lot of work to do. We're coming in to this final little chicane. It's squirty, you've got to be accurate to make sure you don't clout those curbs, and Mohamed Alif just lining up the corner exit to try for the drag down the back straight. He's in a difficult position, is Mohamed Alif, because this is going to be a really big points-paying day. You don't want to risk it all on Luca Lozio, but at the same time as a racing driver, if gap, go.
Yeah. How inclusive. Oh, look at that.
Look at that one. That was such a run down the back straight for the Ferrari. Holds on around the outside, muscles the car through. Sheer determination took that position for Mohamed Alif. That was beautiful.
That was beautiful, and much, much more kind of confident with it than we saw the attempt of 5 corners that we saw a little bit earlier on. Alif moved himself up into 4th spot, which is going to be the biggest payday that he's had this season. He has actually scored points in every single round so far, but now he sits 4th. 11.5 seconds back with 5.5 minutes remaining means that 4th is probably all he can do. But another one that's having a great day, Kieran Prendergast here for Brabham Esports. As I said earlier, that car is a Ferrari. With the gold and the green, it looks like a Brabham. And if you've seen the Brabham GT2 car, it's not dissimilar to that. By the way, shout out to the GT2 cars coming to ACC soon. Exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is absolutely exciting. But I was also excited by Malinowski. Don't get me wrong, but how inclusive is eSport? This guy came to the open qualifier, he qualified for the race, and he has all the chances that team managers are going to talk tonight to give him a seat for next year.
I know, why is it?
I will do that.
Yeah, and actually, Malinowski came into this event 17th in the overall championship standings. He's got 14 points to his name. This is going to be a big payout for him if things continue. Yeah. The higher up you move, the more money you earn. He'll get his flight fees back. Very well played as Maciej Malinowski speak of the man in action. Has the inside line this time from Garcia. There's nothing that the Lamborghini is going to be able to do about the McLaren, I am pretty sure, and there we go. Maciej Malinowski makes the position, gets the round of applause, and Kieran Prendergast also has Darragh McCormack for company.
Yeah, no, he had Luca Lozio. They were side by side just in the front of that shot, and I think both of them have run deep into turn 1, so it's slightly spread out. Why are the Lamborghinis at this stage in the race both going backwards? That's my question. Lozio and Garcia really struggling at the end.
Yeah, real big trouble. Prendergast under massive pressure at this moment in time, attacking and defending at the same time. 4 minutes left on the clock now, so 2, maybe 3 laps of racing left to round out the season. We wanted drama, we wanted spectacle, but I don't think, Ben Constanduras, we would have expected this coming into the race, and this is the incident in which you spoke about.
Yeah, so we were watching the side-by-side behind. Prendergast goes down the inside of turn 1, is just brake too late, so the two of them have both run off the circuit there and then come back on. No harm done, really, and Kieran nearly losing a position to McCormack behind. Interestingly, we haven't looked at it, but there's only half a second between second and third positions.
Yeah.
Dario Yamulo finding the go-go juice at this moment in time in third place in that Lamborghini. This is, again, a driver that's looking at his best points-paying result of the season for Dario Yamulo. He's going to be very hungry indeed to find a way past that Ferrari, and Chris Hartwell will very much know what the championship connotations are for this one, and I don't actually. Can he afford to lose this position, Ben?
How many points score second versus score third?
30-25.
30 and 25. So he can afford to lose the position then, but he would be very tight in the championship. Kieran Prendergast this time with his elbows a bit sharper, gives Lozio a bit of an elbow, but it's put him wide for turn 3, and McCormack is going to come through, and maybe even Malinowski is going to come through here. So that hasn't really worked out for Prendergast, who's kind of off the circuit going into 4. Tries to turn in, there's a car in the way. You might even lose a position to Garcia here. It's very, very tight, isn't it, for 5th position?
It really is. Darren McCormack hunting for any opportunity that presents itself. Now has the outside line. Is going to be run out of racetrack. There we go. Very much typical of that corner, and that allows Maciej Malinowski to throw the car at the inside. That is opportunistic. Malinowski runs a little bit deep. Darren McCormack looks to the outside line, desperately trying to find somewhere to put that Mercedes-AMG, but not having the racing room. He needs to find a way past, so McCormack has to calm things down in 7th position, and this is edge of the seat stuff for these drivers in the final couple of laps, just looking for that final opportunity to steal a place away.
And they're all taking it in turns to attack Lozio, aren't they?
Yeah.
None of them have actually successfully done it, but Prendergast has had a go, so is McCormack, and now it's Malinowski's turn to have a go. Get it wrong and you lose 5-6 positions, so you really, really have to be very strong, and round goes Garcia at the back of shot.
Yeah, I think that was help from Fiala to bring Garcia around, so we saw Fiala very firmly trying not to get a secondary contact, but a real shame for Garcia. But let's have a look now. Darren McCormack, we're looking from his car just ahead. We can see Maciej Malinowski to the outside of Luca Lozio. The McLaren gets the deal done in the brakes. Wow. Covers the inside line very aggressively indeed. Lozio does well not to collect the McLaren, and that was aggressive. But the end result is Maciej Malinowski eventually wrestles that 5th away.
He's done it because he's got a car that has so much straight line speed. Let's have a look if there was contact here. Oh yeah, around goes Garcia. I don't know how the McLaren just basically gained a car length down the straight, and now it's checked out.
Yeah, it really has. The RAFA Racing wildcard entry now, leaving those behind. Luca Lozio firmly the cork in the bottle at this moment in time. And will he shed more places is the big question as the last few minutes of this race unfold.
Yeah, last few seconds, and the P3 Lamborghini is now really close to Chris. No mistakes allowed.
I would be nervous if I was Chris. I think I would be letting him through, because if he loses more than one position, then that is championship done.
Absolutely.
And it is so easy, as we've seen, for miss your braking point and tap the car in front. Round they go, they lose a couple of spots. So please, after you, go past me, take second in the race, and at least I'm not in danger of you knocking me off.
And Dario Yamulo will be well aware of that one and be using it to his advantage. While we're watching these two battles, though, we are now on the final lap of this race. So the last lap of 2023 has begun, and we have still got questions we're trying to answer in some really dramatic on-track battling from several drivers here. That is Darren McCormack, 7th position to the outside. Luca Lozio struggling for straight line speed. Knows it as well, has the inside line. McCormack can't get it done, but he tries to snatch the car back to the apex to concentrate on corner exit. Lozio has that one covered for now. Yumulo still not close enough to launch an attack in the battle for second and third. And we need a few more pairs of eyes, Ben, because there's too much to look at.
It's great, isn't it? Very, very close. But the story here is our first Simpro Championship Series, and we are now on the last lap. And so really, that is the Ferrari. That is Chris Hartwell, who has not stood on the top step of the podium. He's had a couple of third positions in rounds 2 and 4. Has scored in every round so far. Nils Naujoks is going to come across the line and take victory, and he's going to find himself up into second in the championship. The old boy is happy and content.
What a race from Nils. What a race.
He's got a wry smile on his face now as Nils Naujoks powers round the final turn here at Barcelona. Arms pumping, round of applause from the crowd. That is the first win of the season for Nils Naujoks. But the real answer is, can Chris Hartwell secure the championship, the provisional championship? Chris Hartwell for the Scuderia and Ferrari Esports team crosses the line in second position. That is enough to get the deal done on a provisional basis. That was the drive that Chris Hartwell needed. Dario Yumulo in second. Mohamed Ali with a beautiful drive in fourth position from Maciej Malinowski. We wanted drama, we wanted excitement, and the SRO Esports Simpro Series, powered by RAFA Racing, has provided exactly that.
It always does. It's been a really great first year of action. A massive thanks to the manufacture teams that have sent people here and been so keen and so professional about it. We've got a BMW victory today. There is Nils Naujoks, the main man, but it's going to be Chris Hartwell who takes the championship for Ferrari, and that is a BMW Works team, a Ferrari Works team. Had Lamborghini represented, and of course the 2 Mercedes Works teams as well.
What a race.
Just enjoyable to have such professionalism here in the Fanatec Arena. Yeah. It's happening more and more with the GT Pro, but the Sim Pro's brewing it up to another level.
Can I say one other thing is bringing the level up? You guys.
That's kind.
Ben Constadouros and Paul Jeffrey, what an year of commenting, guys. It was so exciting and professional. It seemed to be like in real races.
Thank you for you to be joining us and bringing these little nuggets of expertise as well. There is a look at Chris Hartwell. And all the I mean, what amazes me about Ferrari specifically, look how many red people are over there.
Yeah.
They bring a full team.
Yeah, they do. And in fact, look at what kind of a clever race Chris has done.
Yeah. And that'll be managed by all the other people who are here doing the engineering, doing the PR, and doing the support, and having Jordan Sherritt. Here is the standings from the race then. Nils Naujoks ahead of Chris Hartwell. Yumulo's best Lamborghini for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing in third, and then amazing result for Mohamed Ali with Malinowski also equally impressive. Give that man a full-time contract for next year in fifth position. Luca Lozio dropping to sixth. Best Mercedes, Williams Esports in seventh position, and Brabham up in eighth. Then the second Williams Esports car, ninth position only, which should have been Dominic Bly. Get well soon, Dominic, I'm sure you're watching. Pulaski, who had a steering wheel change, 10th.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's get down to Paul Jeffrey, who's in the melee and the celebrations, to hear from our victors.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ben. I am with a very warm Nils Naujoks. What a race. Tell me all about how it went from your point of view.
Such a good qualifying lap. I risked a lot there. I was already on the last chance I had, and then risked everything, and it was just about enough. And then in the race, I knew I would probably have a good getaway from the line, but I also knew the Ferraris had very good race pace, and I just had to manage their pace more than mine, so I was just keeping it slow so my tires stayed alive somewhat, and I know they suffer a bit when they have the aero wash behind me, so I always tried to keep them in the slipstream, so they couldn't kind of build that benefit with their tires. And then when they got the penalties, I even tried to slow down a bit to get Chris back into the pack, but it didn't work out. He was just too quick, and when he pitted early, I knew I had a couple laps to cover him. And then I always had the tires that were 3-4 laps better than his, and that seems to have been enough.
Towards the end of the race, we saw Jordan Sherratt in the other Ferrari almost going a lap down. Did that cause you, what goes through your mind when you see something like that one?
Yeah, of course, they're in the same team, but I know Jordan very well, and I know he wouldn't put a foot wrong like that. He wouldn't try to slow me down. He had fresh tires. Would have looked very weird if he went my pace. And I knew it was just going to be 2-3 laps until I had to pit anyway, so no, I wasn't really threatened by that.
And from your point of view, it's been an interesting season, very much battling against the odds, scoring points where you can. How good does it feel to have a win at the end of the year and to move up to what I believe, provisionally, is second in the overall points as well, which I don't think anybody saw that one coming.
No, us neither. I think we knew the BOP was good for this round, and we also knew the season hasn't been the best, so this is really kind of feels like the wrong picture in the end. We weren't really that positive overall, but yeah, being second, at least in one series this year, kind of flips everything upside down a bit for us. So yes, indeed feels very good, to be honest, to be in that position. Just 1 out of 5 drivers in the season here that got a win out of, I don't know how many. So yeah, we didn't see that coming, and probably need a beer very soon.
Well, I think nobody can begrudge a race victory for the 90 machine. That was a fantastic season, a great end result. Our race winner, Nils Naujoks, very well done. Thank you very much. Ben, back over to yourself.
Winning for over 20 years, Nils Naujoks. Incredible. In the sim racing world, an absolute powerhouse. We're going to reset and get our podium sorted in just a few seconds. So here is a little break for you.
Let's learn how to control and maximize your car's balance. I'm Daniel Morad, Mercedes-AMG expert driver, and understanding your balance is so important. You actually have the controls within your hands and your feet to make the car do what you want to do. On corner entry, if you're braking too late and too hard and just dropping the brake pedal, you're taking the weight off the front tires and inducing understeer on entry. On the other end, if you brake really late and hard and maybe trail too much through the corner, you may keep the weight on the front tires too long and induce an oversteer. On exit, if you stab the throttle, you might snap the rear into an oversteer, and if you go too smooth and too early to power, you might shift the weight to the back, generating an understeer off the corner. Know what's happening underneath you and use those tips to improve your lap times next race.
Well, we are back here in the Fanatec Arena. I've just looked over my shoulder and drivers are outside trying to cool down. Such has been the intensity of racing here in the Fanatec Arena and the concentration needed in these 1 hour races. They are really endurance races for these drivers who are used to controlling their circumstances in their bedrooms or in their facilities at home. But here in the Fanatec Arena, the sweat, it's a sauna, as we spoke about a little bit earlier. I'm looking over my shoulder to see whether we are ready for the podium, as everyone just rests a little bit before what will no doubt be a great party this evening as we come to the conclusion of the first season of this Sim Pro Series. And it's the last race in the Fanatec Arena as a whole, unless we have a couple of fun races tomorrow, until 2024, where we will go racing on the 21st, I think it is, of April, and the season starts next year in Paul Ricard in France. So a slight inverse championship, which will end, would you believe, in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia in November. So a very, very exciting calendar for everybody here to go racing in different parts of the world. I'm not entirely sure what we'll do about tracks, but we will certainly. We're not coming back here for the endurance race for Barcelona. So the calendar is Paul Ricard, Spa, Monza, and also the Nürburgring, and then Jeddah in November. That is where we'll be racing for supporting the Endurance Cup. Let's go over then to Paul Jeffrey, who has our podium.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ben. And now it is time to give the podium prizes and to welcome the drivers from this race onto the podium here at the Fanatec Arena. So, in third position, can I have Dario Yamulo? Round of applause for Dario! Dario, if you can jump onto the third position spot for me, just there. In second place, Chris Hartwell. Round of applause for Chris. And then our race winner from this final round of the SimPro Series by RAFA Racing, Nils Naujoks. And to hand out our trophies, we have the man from RAFA Racing himself. Rafa Martinez, if you could please bring the third place trophy for Dario Yamulo. A hard-earned second place trophy, not the first you'll receive today. Round of applause for Chris in second, and our race winner. Big round of applause for our winning podium. Our photographers will take their photographs now of the top three finishing drivers together. Everybody together, big smile for the photographers for the final round of this season. Superb stuff, don't stand too close to that speaker pole. There we go, last few shots of our final podium for the SimPro Series powered by RAFA Racing. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Very, very nice indeed. Don't go anywhere though, because we're going to have you back up again in a moment as we do our championship. So I've got the magic piece of paper in my hand, which is the provisional championship standing. So I'll do it from third through to first. In third position is the 555 Mercedes-AMG Teams Williams Esports. Third position in the championship, the 555, Darren McCormack. Up onto third. Very, very well done to you. In second position, for the second time today, Nils Naujoks, for BMW M Team BS Plus competition. And I want a massive round of applause for our new champions, the number 57 Scuderia Ferrari Esports team, Chris Hartwell. These are our top three championship finishers in what has been a 5-round series, an incredible season of racing. There's some checks to be given out. Rafa once again will be presenting the checks to our overall finishing. So in third place, €8,500. Third position, a very nice season's work indeed, €11,000 in second position. And then our champion receives their oversized check of €18,000 for first position for the Scuderia Ferrari Esports team. Absolutely sensational stuff from our three. Again, the photographers will take their pictures for our top three drivers. We'll wait for the photographers. Fantastic stuff there. Last few pictures, drivers staying where they are. If you could stay on the podium for me, and we'll run down the rest of the championship finishers. In fourth place, it was car number 14, the Mercedes-AMG Esports team, Unicorns of Love, which finished 14th position on 77 points. A round of applause for the number 14, if you will, and their check of €4,500. Fifth position goes the way of the number 5 Williams Esports car. So fifth position, the number 5, if you could come up please, Wojtek. In sixth position was car number 63, the Automobile Lamborghini Esports team. David Tanitsa behind the wheel and a nightmare drive, but David just coming back now. Big round of applause. Sixth position, car number 63, David Tanitsa. €3,200 is the check to take there. Seventh place, car number 4, Mercedes-AMG Esports team HRT by Unicorns of Love. Car number 4, please come on through. And a round of applause to Tobias Pfeffer behind the wheel for this event. And his check and Rafa Martinez. So excited to get on this podium in this heat. In 8th position, Flash Axle Esports, car number 12, Mohammed Alif. A great way to end the season and a wonderful end result for Mohammed there. And his check. In 9th position, car number 89, BMW M Team BS Plus competition. Gregor Schell, well done Gregor. Picks up his check, €2,200 for 9th place. In 10th, we have car number 60, VRS Racing by Ballas Esports, Dario Yamulo. Dario, hope you come for yet another check. Well done, sir. 11th position, car 25, ITB Santalot Racing, and Kamil Pawlowski behind the wheel. Kamil, if you're here, come on up. Congratulations. Round of applause again for our championship finishers, and €1,900 check from Rafael Martinez there. 12th position, car number 19, Automobili Lamborghini Esports team, Luca Lozio. Luca, congratulations. €1,800 check there. Car number 13, position 13, car number 8, Jean Alesi Esports team, Danny Savini. Big round of applause for Danny. Congratulations, 13th overall, €1,700 is the check there. In 14th place, 14th place, car number 26, Maciej Malinowski. Doesn't have a team, he keeps qualifying. Best test man in SRO Esports, Maciej Malinowski, €1,600, 14th place. In 15th position, car number 37 for Scuderia Ferrari Esports, Jordan Sherratt. Well done, Jordan. Picks up a check for €1,500. 17th place, 16th place, car number 53 for Mercedes-AMG Teams, Williams Esports, Daniel Lafuente. Daniel, congratulations, stepped into the team last minute, great work, and the car finishes 16th overall, and Dominic as well, up on stage, broken hand and all, to receive the plaudits. We're running out of space on this podium, I keep moving further and further away. What car are we on? In 17th position, car number 15 for Mercedes-AMG Esports team, MSI. Congratulations, do we have a representative? Yes, we do. Fabulous stuff, thank you very much. 18th position, number 62, Brabham Esports, powered by Eau Rouge, Kieran Prendergrast. Congratulations to Kieran, €1,200. 18th overall. In 19th place, Automobili Lamborghini Esports team, car number 313. 18th position, come on up, €1,100 for Alberto Garcia. In 20th place, car number 201, SPQ Racing Team, driving Matteo Sinotti on this weekend, €1,000. In 21st place, car 55, McLaren Veloci and George Boothby, please step on up. And in 22nd position, Gridfinder Racing, Leon Hopper, come on up as well when George takes his check. Leon, come on up. And then we'll get a quick photograph while the photographer is doing their work and the drivers are getting their photographs and receiving their final plaudits. It's just left for me to thank SRO Esports, SRO for putting on this incredible competition, Fanatec for the Fanatec Arena, which is a sensational place to go esport racing, AK Esports for organising such an incredible competition, and of course RAFA Racing for being our title partner during the course of this championship. It has been a sensational year of racing. We've had drama, we've had crashes, we've had excitement, overtakes, and a very worthy champion. We've loved every moment of it. We cannot wait for 2024. So from everybody behind the scenes, from myself, Paul Jeffrey, from Ben Constant-Juris, thank you all, and we will see you all next year. Bye-bye.